Good day, everybody. How's it going out there? It's Ursa Major time again. It's time to nominate your favorite furry things for 2020 because you had to have enjoyed something out of 2020, right? Probably some furry content out there just for your interest. So the Ursa Majors is happening right now. Link in the description below. You have about 2 to 2.5 weeks to nominate your favorite content in the furry fandom under a variety of different categories. Um, so basically, when you go to that site, you'll find a nomination form, and you can nominate things in any category that you want. And if there was any kind of furry content that you liked out there, even if you had one thing that was made in 2020 that you really liked, you can nominate that one thing by itself in its appropriate category, and then just leave everything else blank. You don't have to be a furry librarian to do this. Ursa Majors is kind of like our Kids' Choice / Hugo Awards for the furry fandom of the year. Um, and so you may go ahead and enjoy that. There was some good content this year, in spite of our situation. So that being said, there are two categories that I want to focus on this episode. Mostly because for 2019 we had two particular categories that basically ended up getting canned because there wasn't enough nominations. One was fursuits, which is ironic, isn't it? I guess we could say, hey, it isn't all about the fursuits, right? Fursuits can't even get nominated for an Ursa Major. And number two was nonfiction. I'm not taking that personally. No, not whatsoever, guys. I only do this for my health. Now, to be fair, my channel, my YouTube channel, wasn't that great. 2020, I kind of lost a little bit of my get up, a little bit of my stride. So I would not put anything past it. I don't really recall making anything really great, other than basically COVID-19 closures. Basically, was the biggest thing. That was also an article I did that, but to me, I would rather promote my writing on the nonfiction side because I think a lot of people receive it a lot better. It's a lot quicker to read and things like that. So for nonfiction, so I'm going to do something very unusual this year to get people in the spirit of Ursa Majors. I'm going to for the two categories that had nomination issues last year, where not enough things got nominated, and the category basically felt kaputskis because of it. I'm going to say, if you want to, I'm going to give you a homework assignment to nominate these two things. I don't think they'll win, but we need more things nominated so that the things that can win can win. Nonfiction this year, I think, is going to go to the fandom, which was Ash Coyote's documentary. However, we do need to give her something to compete against. So, in order to do that, I basically went back through my flavor articles for 2020, and I found out which one were the most trendy, or the most, what I call, hot. I guess they would call it hot. Basically, a lot of people liked it. Basically, it had a high star score, and it had a lot of votes. Right, so it's a correlation between those two things, because there were other articles that got more votes than this one this year, but there were a lot. So the highest ranked one, based on quantity of votes and number of votes, is this article I wrote about how the furry fandom and how the internet as well had to kind of curtail back to its roots, using the internet as a weapon of defense, um, to protect ourselves from elements, right? And also that the furry fandom had to return to its roots, because there was a time in the furry fandom, before we had a lot of conventions, and in essence, the pandemic forced furries and the internet sort of back to their roots in their general purpose. And you can find that link in the description below for that article. If you want to promote one of my nonfiction articles into the Ursa Major category, nominate that article. This way, we're not splitting the nomination between, oh, I like this article from the Roo and this article from the Roo. That is the article that was popular. I liked it. I think it was one of my best pieces of the year. Go ahead and promote that one. Obviously, if you want to nominate something from Dogpatch or from Global Furry Television, or even the Ash Coyote one, I would nominate the two Ash Coyote pieces along with it, which are the documentary Hero and the fandom. And as a star asterisk here, I like having competition like that because I think that the furry fandom is a worthwhile community and it's worthwhile getting stories like this out there. And in the spirit of that, I know the fandom documentary is going to whoop my butt in the actual voting, but I will give Ash this piece of advice. What you do, Ash, takes a lot more effort than what I do. The article that I'm promoting here maybe took me, 3.5 hours to write and edit it and all that stuff. Your stuff takes days and days and days of effort. You should have released Hero this month in 2021 because now you're competing against yourself. You have to pace yourself, and especially when you're a small indie creator. So you don't want to have your nonfiction works fighting against each other for rewards and recognition in the particular year. Give it some space so that you can try to get the Ursa major for 2020 and have a piece that's in place for 2021. Unless you plan on releasing something else for 2021, then all is good. But you're this is kind of your major thing right now, and it might even be a job for you. I don't know, but just some advice: if you're releasing something in 2021, just ignore it. But if it were me, I'd be strategic about it. Obviously, when I write news, I can't really pick when to publish it. It's got to be somewhat timely. So, and I write a bunch of pieces and do a bunch of videos, so they're always competing against each other anyway, which is why I decided to focus on the one this year. But hopefully, if I could get that piece nominated, then you will actually have a category to compete in this year, because last year that didn't happen. And that's why I want y'all to nominate that, just so that the fandom can get into an actual category this year. And the other one was fursuits. Now, luckily on the recommended list, I'm starting to see fursuits are starting to pick up a little bit. But just in case it's not, I do have one fursuit that I want to kind of nominate, but I want us to kind of do it quietly. I want to see how stealthy. I want to see how stealthy the internet can be, because there's one person who they're kind of a friend, they're kind of a colleague, kind of a fan, but they don't watch my content. They kind of do their own thing, and that's fine. But the funny thing is at an Anthrocon one year, he was like he did a co-paneling with me. He was my co-panelist at Anthrocon and a nonfiction panel because he actually went to journalism. He actually took journalism classes, stuff like that. And like me and him and an audience of like one or two people, right? Made it so that it was kind of awkward, and he stuck with me through it, and it was great. The Anthrocon had us in this like back room, like all the way in the corner over here. That's fine. Like Flera and him didn't get things, so the fact that they even let me have a panel is great, because that means relationships are improving. He's not Green Reaper. We don't like Green Reaper. Whatever. I don't know what the T for T is on that, but what I can say is that he had wanted to become a bunny. He had his like fox fursuit, and it was growing old, but he changed his persona to a bunny, and he tried to get a new bunny fursuit for it, and he had a heck of a time because the original person that he got involved with basically took the money and ran. So he ended up he ended up instead utilizing what the heck's it called? Wow, I can't remember the name of it. It's on the tip of my tongue. I'm gonna cut that out. No, anyways, but he ended up going with another fursuit creator who ended up actually doing that. It was there was the one that had that lawsuit against the con chair there. I can't remember the freaking name of it. I remember the lawsuit though, which I think was settled eventually. I didn't hear much on the follow up on that. God, it's gonna drive me nuts. It starts with an L. But anyways, the I'll know by the end of the video. I promise. Um, but basically, they finally got a fursuit for that, and it came out really well. And I'm gonna say, well, just to get the fursuit category going, I want to see how if we can get this guy nominated. The character who rides it is Night Fox. The wears it is Night Fox. Their name was Night Fox. I don't know if they changed their name since, but we'll just call him Night Fox anyway. The name is Fox, just to be ironic, I guess. So this was the fursuit they got, and they got it in January 2020. And they've been having a bout of depression all year because they worked so hard to get this fursuit, and they had a lot of ups and downs getting this fursuit. And then they got it in January 2020, and they were going to have their premiere. They were going to wear it as at the premiere convention. Its premiere convention was going to be Furry Equinox 2020. And Furry Equinox 2020 was one of the first conventions to go, yeah, we can't hold events this year. So he's been really depressed all year. He's been like, should I sell this fursuit? Oh man, this is such a waste of money. This is such a waste of time. I think that what we could do is I'm gonna convince him that this was the right thing to do. Okay, we're gonna cheer this guy up. Shh, don't tell him though. Shh, secret. We're gonna secretly nominate this guy, and he won't win. He just like my article, it's gonna get beat up by Ash Coyote, or Ash Coyote's documentary. Like I don't think he'll win, but getting him nominated will at least go like, yeah, my fursuit is Ursa Major nominated. It was worth all the hassle. So I think that this is a good way to get the Ursa Major fursuit category going. This is the one I'll be nominating. There's also some good options in the recommended list, so you can add a few of those depending on there. A lot more fancier stuff, lots of like electronics and stuff. So a simple fursuit like this is probably going to get raffle stomped when it gets into the main category and actually, the nominees actually get voted on. But even getting nominated, I think, will be a big boost to his morale, because his morale has kind of been a little down in the dumps because the thing he invested in, he can't share that joy of that costume with other people. And so those are my two. It's unusual. I don't like promotion, right? I already made a video about that a month or so ago. But in this case, I'm making an exception because clearly after 2019, these two categories needed a boost. They need a boost. They need a boost for people to nominate things and get more involved in them, so that way they can actually be voted on and actually get a Ursa Major award for them. Ironically, I have to boost fursuits. Isn't this a strange world? Usually it's the opposite, right? It's like, oh man, they think of furries and not fursuits. Like, haha! But we have to really, in 2019, furries didn't care about fursuits. Anyways, that was it for today. So the information for this will be in the description below. So if you can, please do your best. Nominate the things in all the other categories as well, for short stories, novels. Best thing, you could pick Flair if you want for the best magazine. You can, but you can also vote for the other guys too. Nominate other things too. Probably should do. I don't know if Furcast would be under, because I haven't done an episode about them closing yet. Dang. Furcast is done. I guess I'll throw this a little blurb at the end of the video. But I can probably do a longer form video on that. I already written an article about that. Um, so, anyways, thank you very much for watching, and hopefully hopefully if you created stuff, hopefully they get nominated, and hopefully we can continue to promote good content using the Ursa Major Awards, even though the person that founded of it has passed and had passed on a few years ago. Hopefully we can continue to make the Ursa Major a strong community standpoint on promoting each other's content and promoting good content, particularly nonfiction. Even if you don't vote for somebody within the furry fandom, you could vote for stuff about furries from non-furries, right? Promote good content from non-furries. By the way, in the premiere year of the nonfiction one, it was the year that Boozy Badger had wrote the thing about the sovereign citizens, and that was one I nominated but it never succeeded in its nomination, so it didn't become a nominee. But I felt that one was a really important one because it was written by a non-furry talking about social things and understanding social things that were impacting the fandom, were impacting Rocky Mountain Fur Con, and why it had to close. And then the person who wrote it ended up becoming a furry. So it was like it was just the greatest thing. It was the funniest thing, and I wish that one had gotten nominated, but it didn't. So, anyways, that's enough rambling down memory lane. Um, as nothing can be worse though. Oh, and related content. If you want to see some of the Ursa Major victories that I didn't quite like, there's a video on my channel about those. I remember the one I didn't like the most, and it was really bad. I don't think that'll ever happen again. Don't make it happen again. Sure to vote for nominees and vote for voting. We will go over the nominees when they come in, probably sometime around March. Anyways, thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you again next week. Are things back to normal yet? I'm actually talking about the Ursa Majors? Wow.